Good afternoon, everyone. The good news is I'm going to be very brief, because I know you've sat through a lot of presentations, and we still have the panel discussion. But I begged for the opportunity to just get 5 or so minutes to do a quick rundown for you. I do a lot of presentations on the Internet of Things, and I love asking the audience, how comfortable are you with the Internet of Things? Do you understand it? Do you know how things evolve from machine to the Internet of Things? And I'm always surprised when I ask them to raise their hands if they are comfortable with it, how few people say they actually understand it. So what I'm guessing is, because this is an IoT forum, and all of you after this afternoon are now experts, I'm sure that everybody here is completely comfortable with the Internet of Things. So raise your hands if you feel comfortable that you could go out and explain to somebody the Internet of Things. 1 or 2? I see 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5. This is good. I think my record before was 3 people. So that's a good start. Most people aren't comfortable with this. So I'm going to take a stab at explaining this to you. So we're going to start with the battle of the buzzwords. So we have machine to machine. We have the Internet of Things. And then there's the Internet of Everything. So how do we get this to come through, and how does it evolve? Well, it starts out with machine-to-machine technology. And this has been around for 30 years. It's about a device that captures an event, transmits that information over a network to an application, and it becomes meaningful. These are words. I'll explain it to you, and if you can remember this, I promise you'll be able to explain this to your friends. All this is all about a potato, okay? So think about this. There's a company called CargoSmart. They're based in Hong Kong, and they ship potatoes from the US to Hong Kong. And what they do is, in their containers, which are refrigerated, they stick a module that captures the temperature, carbon dioxide level, and humidity level of that container, and it transmits that back to an application. So someone on the ship knows that it's getting too warm. So what they do is send someone there to open up the vent, and then it cools it down a bit. But it requires a human interaction. And if you ever see the shipping containers, they can be 4,000, 9,000, 18,000. I think the new super tanker's 40,000. Those are big ships. It's not efficient. So what it needs to evolve to is the Internet of Things. And this is where different things can communicate. If you've already got one thing capturing that information, why don't you have another thing over here which automatically opens that vent or turns on the dehumidifier to suck the moisture out of the air? And why do you need someone to do it? Why don't you have an intelligent system that actually does it automatically? So now you see this evolution. The in between, when you get to the Internet of Things, it's communicating without interaction. They get rid of the efficient part of it, which is us. And finally, it gets into the Internet of Everything. And this would be lining up everything from the farm, where those are grown, through the transport, through the shipping, to the wholesalers, all the way to the grocery. So this is the evolutionary process we're going through. Everyone's got fantastic forecasts for the future, and I'll show you ours very soon. But remember, a lot of this stuff exists today. It's tangible. We're going to be evolving it in the future and developing more solutions in the back of it. So everyone loves numbers and wants to see the forecasts. These are our most recent. These came out in the last couple of weeks. Millions of units installed worldwide. We're forecasting to be 11.3 billion devices this year, of which 3.6 will be in Asia Pacific. That's going to grow to 28.1 billion by 2020 and just over 10 in Asia Pacific. Now what's important here is this captures industrial IoT, so the more enterprise solutions, and what we call non-consumer wearable IoT. There's other components which we include for the Asia Pacific forecast. When we look at that, you start seeing that the wearable portion, and to be fair, this should actually be wearable and consumer IoT, because we also include smartphones that will be basically used as servers and gaming devices. That starts growing it a little bit more. But it's not going to be the whole industry. You see, it's still only a portion. But it's got some significant growth. So our unit forecasts are going to grow at 23% a year. But when you look at that consumer and wearable areas, it's up at 33%. So this will continue to grow and drive a lot of market opportunities. Everyone got the pictures? Can I go on? Okay? Want me to wait? Hold on, wait. Okay? All right. So all this, though, we're talking about these units. How do we enable them and make a solution out of them? Well, that requires an ecosystem that's going to take those modules or devices, have them connect through a platform into an application. Now, you might remember, this is machine to machine. When it starts evolving is when we start leveraging all the analytics that goes back and forth between those components, and you start initiating next actions. And all of that needs to be secured, and all of it needs to be pulled together in professional services. When you do this, you create solutions for the consumer, government, and enterprise. Now, why we break it down this way? Because part of it is looking at the units, but I also like to look at the money. So I want to see where the opportunities are. So if you take this same ecosystem, this happens to be our taxonomy. So if you look at revenues for 2014, we see a $616 billion opportunity in Asia Pacific, not including Japan. And we can break it down by those components, and a lot more detail below that. But what you see is a lot of it's still going to be on these modules and devices driving that revenue, and the applications is going to grow. While $39 billion is still a lot, it's not as much as you would think it would be for security. And this is because we're just realizing now all the risks that we're going to be exposed to as we start to grow this. Where's it going to get to for 2020? Much bigger. We're looking at a $2.43 trillion opportunity. And this is where you see all the areas start to drive significant opportunities. But the challenge we have is all these components need to work together. So we've seen a number of great vendors today who have portions of these systems. They need to work together and develop a partner ecosystem so that when they go out to their customers, they've got all this pulled together already. And that will enable us to go forward. So I'm afraid I probably went a couple minutes over my 5 minutes, but I want to say thank you. Also, we're analysts. We tend not to like to give too much away for free, but we did create a series of infographics about the Internet of Things. And I'm a firm believer that we need to make this concept more tangible to everyone. So instead of looking at it from a technology perspective, I look at it from the human perspective. So I do day-in-the-life scenarios. So one of them will be the day in the life of a mining engineer in Western Australia, one's the day in the life of a doctor in Singapore, and one's the day in the life of a chief operating officer at a device manufacturer in Shenzhen. We give them different scenarios. I gave the COO high blood pressure because he probably has it. It's a more challenging job. But this will give you an idea, and there's 20 or 30 scenarios in each about how us as humans will leverage these different technologies in our homes, in our personal lives, in our jobs, as we transport around. So that's my quick summary. Thank you very much. And we will be doing a panel discussion after this short break, and you'll have a chance to ask some of the panelists some questions as well. So thank you very much.